Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? And welcome to my thoughts on Modern Warfare. Not the original one, but the reboot that they don't really want to call a reboot. It's whatever. It's a new Call of Duty 2019. A lot of people on stream have been asking me what I think about it, so I figured, you know what? I'll just make a video on it after having done research on it and, really kind of getting an idea of what the game is all going to be about. When I initially watched the trailer, I thought, oh, they're calling it Modern Warfare. They're bringing back Captain Price. It's a whole lot like, look, guys, this is all kinds of things you're familiar with. Please buy our game, like especially after the two games that Infinity Ward has released, which is obviously Infinite Warfare and Ghost. I think we can all agree they weren't too great of games, and all around the Call of Duty community, if you want to call it that, they weren't all too happy with it, really. So because of that, I'm pretty certain that the Modern Warfare name was, named here and like, okay, we'll capitalize on that. The main thing that I was just wondering was like, whenever I saw the initial trailer, I was like, okay, first of all, the game looks very good. It doesn't really look like a typical Call of Duty campaign, right? It looks like a lot more advanced. Also turns out that there's a completely new engine which has 5 times more detail, blah blah blah, PR talk. I mean, I'll judge it for when I see it. But I have to say that, the game does look very good. I mean, we've only seen a couple of cutscenes in a minute's time, but if you look back at the previous Call of Duty trailers, you could already see that there is indeed a massive improvement. Now, obviously, this was purely single-player stuff, but, from the trailer, you don't really get to see a lot. It's more of the typical, oh, look, there's a lot of explosions, and we're screaming a lot down our microphones because this is a Call of Duty campaign, and we're going to have a near-death experience every single 30 seconds. However, it looks like it's going to be the complete opposite of that. After doing some research and watching videos from Drifter and from Hutch, which I'll leave in the link in the description down below, I highly encourage you checking them out yourself because they have actually seen the game in action and have seen 2 missions. But I'll go over bits and bobs of details of that because it turns out that the Call of Duty Modern Warfare campaign is going to be quite graphic. I've heard things about a supposed terror attack happening in Piccadilly Circus, not in real life, but in the game. Just want to make sure that everyone is aware of that, which is obviously in London. Apparently they go into detail and I guess graphic detail with a lot of things. For example, one of the missions as well is that you are getting the point of view of a little girl whose house has been collapsed, then being rescued by local people as well. Find out that your mom and brother have passed away because of that collapsing house, but you don't have time to actually sit down and process that. You have to keep on moving because the Russian mercenaries are coming, and they're obviously, don't want anything to do with people that are actually supposed to live there. So because of that, you make your flee. You're supposed to go to the mountains. However, things doesn't really work out the way it does, and there's some combat involved with a screwdriver and a Russian mercenary trying to find you. It's a bit of a cat and mouse kind of thing. If you played The Last of Us, you probably know what scene I'm referring to, which is another thing that I should mention as well, because apparently there's 2 people from Naughty Dog basically taking the story at hand, which is pretty interesting actually, because the vibe I'm getting from the things I'm hearing about the campaign is that there's some definite Last of Us emotion kind of levels going on, and there's really going to be an emphasis of what the war actually is like to be in a war, really have that kind of grittiness inside of a Call of Duty campaign, which is something that I probably never really had. I mean, typically a Call of Duty campaign was a lot of explosions and a lot of screaming like, oh my god, no, we're gonna die! And then 2 seconds later, oh, well, you know what, that was cool, and let's move on to the next explosion. Like, the way I'm hearing it is it's going to be a lot less like a Michael Bay movie and a lot more like The Last of Us, if that makes sense. It's going to be a lot more about character development and all that stuff. At least that's what I'm gathering, which is, in a way, an interesting move. I mean, it's not something you're typically used to from a Call of Duty campaign, but because of that, I'm actually looking forward to Modern Warfare. I'm actually interested in the game. Like, initially, I was curious about the game, but now I'm interested after hearing the information that I have, heard about it. Because of that, I'm just like, okay, You know, are they doing this for the sake of trying to refresh the series, making it a little bit more serious, using a platform to show people what war's really like? Or are they going to start chasing controversy here? Because, let's be honest, this is not going to be taken lightly. It's very likely that companies and countries are going to ban this game for even selling, because that is, you know, this is some very heavy stuff. And inside of a video game, obviously, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be an option to turn off the gore. Because I think if that is not something that is possible, there's for sure going to be maybe even an adult rating on this. I don't see it happen because apparently, typically, adult ratings is only for you know, pornographic kind of stuff. Because that's just how America and the rest of the world works, I suppose. I don't want to immediately jump on the bandwagon and be like, oh no, they're just doing this for controversy, this and that. Like, I genuinely hope that with this story, no matter how gritty and how, you know, bad in terms of how graphic it's going to be, I really hope that they're going to try and nail it, because it sounds like a very promising and interesting concept for a game, because they're really emphasizing on what modern warfare actually is, like the literal term, not just a video game, right? Less of the Michael Bay-ish things, but more about telling a story like this is what war is really like. This is the current day and age warfare that is going on. And the inspiration and the source material that they're using for it is LiveLeak of all websites. And well, if you're familiar with LiveLeak, then you probably know what I'm talking about. If you're not familiar with LiveLeak and you are one of the people that is a little bit faint-hearted, don't go on there. There's a lot of stuff that you probably don't want to see, especially when you're about to go to bed. It's an unfiltered website, if you catch my drift. But because of that, I kind of feel bad for the devs, because they've probably seen a lot of fucked up shit. And I'm really wondering what their mental state is like after having seen all that. But I guess it's all about making them video games and making them good. Modern Warfare sounds very promising, especially because there's also obviously going to be a multiplayer, but also a co-op, which I'm hoping personally that is going to be something along the lines of Spec Ops again. Really enjoyed Spec Ops in Modern Warfare 2 and in Modern Warfare 3. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be at least a couple of you who played Modern Warfare 2 Spec Ops on Veteran, and you probably still remember that oil tanker mission where there was a bunch of juggernauts coming your way, and yeah, I still remember the nightmares of that one. But those were fun challenges, so I'm hoping that they will do something similar in Modern Warfare as well. But those are just some of my thoughts about Modern Warfare. Obviously, I'd love to know what you think as well in those comments down below. And with all that said, and with all that done, thank you so very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all later.